For many years now, Russ and Craig have had many wide-ranging conversations with folks from all over the gaming world. This is one of those conversations.
D6G, the Lost Chapter.
And so I said, I don't know what you're talking. Oh, wait. Hey, Russ.
Yes.
What was the name of that girl who helped her dad when we were doing that thing in Gen Con?
You mean Sydney, who helped us out at Gen Con?
Sydney
and then also
Engelstein. Look
Sydney.
who it is in Dunkin' Donuts.
Hi.
Hey.
Can I have a hot chocolate?
Yes, you may.
It's actually serving, but you can order one up at the counter and then come on down.
Would you like what kind of donuts do you like, Sydney?
I like the kinds with frosting and sprinkles.
There you go. Does it matter if it's chocolate or vanilla, or does not even matter?
Vanilla, personally.
Now, do you like the cake donut or the yeast donut? And
There's a difference?
Yes. So here you go. I can tell you these things because, as Craig knows, I used to be the guy who went into the donut shop at 11 o'clock at night and worked till 7 in the morning making donuts. So I can tell you the difference. And I worked at Mr. Donut, though, before it was bought out by Dunkin' Donuts. Which was much better, by the way. We had better coffee, which is why Dunk's bought us, just saying. Anyway, long story.
I guess I'm going to go with cake donut because it has the word cake in it.
Yes, cake donuts are the thicker donuts. They're the ones that actually are perfectly round and they're dense. The yeast donuts are the ones that puff up. You know, like a jelly donut is a yeast donut with jelly injected inside. There you go. So
I'm learning so much.
Donut lesson of the day. See, that's free right there. So Sydney,
well, and it's worth every penny.
And I think right, double even. So as most of our listeners probably know, Sydney, you and your dad designed Space Cadets Dice Duel, which is always exciting and fantastic game. But also, what they may not know is you, as I understand it, you are a pretty avid RPG player.
I am, or I try to be.
You try to. So,
I don't get as much as I would like to have.
So, being a busy student, how do you find the time to get all these RPGs in?
Well, I disguise it as an after-school club, and then that's the trick.
So how did you? So now is this an official after-school activity, or is it some?
Yeah, we're registered. We've got a faculty advisor.
Now, how did you sell this? Did you create the club, or did it exist before you?
I did not. It existed before me.
All right, so it's been there for a long time, and
I joined as a sophomore.
Nice. And how many years have you been doing it now?
3
years.
Sophomore, junior, senior.
Nice. Okay, cool. And now how does the club work? When you join the club, is it the Dungeons and Dragons club, or do you guys rotate through different RPGs, or how does that all work?
Well, our RPG club is notoriously disorganized, but we have cycled through different things. It's mostly based on club interest. When I first joined, we were doing a big World of Darkness RP and running 3 different types, and then they converged together.
Oh, wow. So you had so the 3 different groups with 3 different GMs and 3 different groups of players, and
we had werewolves, mages, and geis. And then we tried to make their stories interweave at points, but it all fell apart.
Wow, I was going to say, how did you do all that? Because Craig, you tried something like that on Rafe's birthday a while ago, right, with Dave?
Yes. That was quite a while ago.
So you guys got together. You and Dave got together before the event.
Yeah.
Figured out the overall plot points.
Right.
Then you split up and ran 2 different groups through them, but sort of in the same room at the same time. We did like an all-day thing.
No, they were in different rooms, but they were taking place in the same universe.
Yeah.
Going after the same goal, so they kept bumping into the same people, and then they bumped into each other.
Right.
And then they killed each other.
And that kind of worked till the very end.
Not part of the plan. Not part of the plan at all.
You have to live the plan.
Sounds better than ours.
So, but how did you guys? How did you attempt to coordinate all that, Sydney? Or did?
Well, we had 3 DMs then.
Okay.
They're all now graduated, and so their job was to come up with the story together and to talk. But the problem was they didn't really like each other. Sometimes they didn't talk. So mostly they were separate. And then at the end, the mages got teleported in from a region of hell that they got stuck in to our house. We were like, why are you in our house? And they're like, weeping angels are upstairs, and everything.
Nice.
Everything went crazy.
Awesome.
I was serving everyone tea because my character was very polite.
Oh, well, that's good anyway.
I like it. Well, as long as you can keep your character as you go through that stuff.
That's right.
So that sounds like a pretty cool one. Now, did you guys? So that was that. So what's the size of your club? How does it vary a lot, or is it pretty much?
It varies is a lot, but we have about anywhere from 15 to 25 people.
Yeah. Now, how do you?
But they don't all show up at a time.
How do you keep the club vibrant? Like, how do you guys recruit and keep getting new gamers and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think that's tricky.
We tried advertising on our school's TV, but that didn't run, apparently. So we mostly just word of mouth it.
So is it just like hanging the little flyers up on the bulletin boards and running around telling everybody?
I'm in the school play, so I went into the stage crew and talked loudly about all the fun things that were happening in RPG Club. Typecasting and all that.
Oh, I see.
Ah, there you go.
There you go. Nice. Now, did you get a lot of... So is it mostly theater folks because of where you are, or do you get a good...
No, we have all kinds of people.
Oh, cool.
I recruited a bunch of theater kids, because there was a friend group that were all interested in it, so a bunch of freshmen came in. But we have a lot. Before that huge group joined, I was the only kid who did the plays.
Oh, cool. So one thing that sounds interesting to me, or I don't know how you deal with this. So you said you had between 20 and 35 people coming and going from the group?
15, 25.
15, 20.
We don't have that many.
So 15, let's say 15 to 25 people.
That's still a lot.
That's a lot for one party. So how do you guys do this? Do you split up? Do you rotate characters? Do you do different groups? How does that work?
Well, my initiative was, we're going to get organized. And then everybody laughed at me. And then I said, no, really, guys, we're really going to get organized. So I started by asking who in the group wanted to be a DM. Mm-hmm. And 4 people wanted to be DMs. And so I told them they all could be because small groups are good. Right. And so we had 1 run World of Darkness, 1 run D&D, 1 ran this weird made-up campaign that he swore was going to be good. And the 4th one ran Don't Rest Your Head, which is a weird mod he had found. Seems fun. People are enjoying it. And then everybody was allowed to go into whichever group interested them the most by the pitch that the person gave.
Oh, that's cool.
And I ditched the whole intersecting storyline thing because it was too confusing.
Well, especially since it sounds like all different systems too, so that'd be a little tricky. Did the guy? I'm curious now about this guy who had his own system. Did he have any problem getting players, or did he get a long line joining the system?
Yeah, only 2 people joined, and now neither of them come anymore. So we're down to 3.
Oh dear, oh dear. So would you say? Well, so now we've learned a lesson about do-it-yourself systems, maybe.
They were both friends of his, but then they never felt like coming. We always have a huge group of people at the beginning, and then they realize, because our club, since you can't really run a role-playing game for a very short amount of time, it goes for 2 hours after school. So a lot of people don't want to do that or have to leave on the late bus.
Right.
So
I get that. So let me ask you this. So I'm now going to ask you a very derisive question. Derisive, is that the right word? No, divisive. That's the right word. Not derisive.
Derisive would be mean.
No, derisive would be divisive question.
Nice.
Divisive, which could be derisive depending on who you are. So which version of Dungeons & Dragons does your group prefer?
We play 4
okay.
because ease of character sheet creation.
Oh, there you go. And
that's it, because we just don't have enough time.
There you go.
And people get bored. And the first, or I guess it was my second year, because that was the year we decided to run a D&D campaign. Mm-hmm. We spent the first 6 weeks getting everyone's character sheets together, because most people that join are not players. So the 3 people who've played before have to sit there and answer everyone's questions. What goes in this box? What goes in this box? What goes in this box?
Right.
So now we've adopted a little bit more of a casual style, where it's if you can maybe do it and you say you want to do it and you role play doing it, go for it. So some people don't even have character sheets filled out.
That's fine. That's cool. So, this is interesting.
Name and erase.
So you're in a role playing group where you get a lot of first time RPG players. Then,
yeah, because most people who are in high school haven't gotten a lot of chance to do it.
Right.
And the people that we recruit, the people who started the club, they were all in an outside group together. But most of the new people we get, they're like, what is this RPGing? It sounds fun.
Oh, cool. Well, that's fun. So let me ask you this then, as a now semi-expert at training up the next generation of RPGers. See, this is pretty exciting. What would you say is a good gateway RPG? Is 4E one of the good ones, or do you guys have a better, how do you get people comfortable with the idea that you're playing this character and it's even more fun if you do the funny voices and kind of let loose? How do you get people warmed up to that thing?
Well, we always try and encourage people because I always worry. We have a few people who are really experienced and they know how to talk to the DM and what to do, and they're louder and more confident. And the other people, they sit and they're quiet, and I'm worried. I'm like, let other people talk. And they're like, if they wanted to talk, they could. I'm like, yeah, but they just don't know to talk as much as you do. So you can cool with your character. But usually we have this tradition where we do a really easy RP where you play yourself and you are on a school bus that crashes.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of a tradition. The first week of RPG Club, we run this and everybody, lists themselves like, which are you best? Strength, smarts, or like charisma.
Right.
And you just kind of play out what you would do, and it's supposed to introduce people to it.
That's kind of cool. Do you use some very simple mechanics? Any dice mechanics, or always a pure
We
storytelling?
don't use dice mechanics in that one because it's supposed to introduce people to just role playing more so. Because our group, I mean, maybe it's because I'm leading it and I don't like the dice rolling combat part. I like the talking part. We've always been very LARPy, like if you want your character to get up and walk over there, just walk across the classroom and start rolling on the ground, and that means your character is rolling on the ground.
Oh, cool. So it's a little bit of acting. See, the acting's coming through again. See, Craig?
A little bit LARPy.
Yeah, there you go. That's all right. So that's cool. Well, that's really cool. So, and it's interesting, too, because I, to teach my daughters to role play now, we've run several different role playing games. And probably the most complex one I've run them through is Mouse Guard. I don't know if you're familiar with Mouse Guard at all.
No.
But that's a neat one. You play a mouse, so it's kind of cool. But the other game they like is A Fairy's Tale. I don't know if you
I have played that one. I love that. That was my 6th birthday party.
So it was exactly that. So I played it with my daughters. I taught it to them, and now every birthday party they always want to play. They want me to run a game for them, and then my niece and nephew come down and they want to play too. And they have these characters they've been running now for like 3 or 4 birthdays or whatever, and they really like them. But what I like about that game is it's really mostly storytelling. Now, there is some dice mechanics, and they have this little, their spirit, like, is like an energy pool, basically, and it's also your hit points. So when you do stuff, like if you roll and you miss, you can spend an energy point to kind of re-roll, but that's also your health. So you spend it all, you kind of pass out. You don't ever really die. You just kind of run out of energy because you're a fairy, and then you get it
back. Like a Pokemon.
Right, exactly, like a Pokemon. You go back into the little ball, and you come back. So it's
back into your little ball.
So it's kind of cool, though, because it gets them into the dice thing, but it was like you, they kept saying, like, when I get into a really big fight, I was trying to gauge, like, okay, do they want to roll a lot of dice? So sometimes I'd be like, okay, you're going to swing, with your little pixie sword or whatever, or you're going to throw pixie dust at them, roll to see if you succeed. And they didn't like the dice rolling as much, and they just wanted to get back to the storytelling part. So I realized you kind of learn from your group, maybe it's just 1 or 2 die rolls to do the whole battle as opposed to, like, each blow by blow kind of thing, So you kind of got to know your group and know what they like.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I've always found the part where, you realize that your character is scared and cautious, and so you start speaking to people in a scared and cautious way, and, you hide under a desk. That's how I role play.
Now, do you like games? Because what I liked about the fairy game in particular was the more, it's got that built-in mechanic where, as a GM, if a player does a really good job, like let's say you've got a table of people, and they're all kind of new RPGers, and you can tell they're a little nervous about this. And the one person there just decides to break out of her shell, and she's like, yeah, I'm a nervous mouse, so I jump under my table and I'm hiding, and she's got her eyes over the desk and she's peeping like a real mouse. I'd be like, that's awesome. You get a bonus whatever. So in the fairy game, you give them bonus spirit, and they can spend it later for, like, do you play a lot of games that have that ability? Because I really like how to be able to reward the characters and show the rest of the table that's what you do, kind of thing.
That's cool. No, we haven't really had that. I mean, when we played D&D, there was supposed to be like your DM gives you experience points based on role-playing proficiency, Usually we forget about experience points, and then they're like, hey, can I level? It's like, oh,
sure.
Right. Yeah, whatever. Put whatever you want in.
You beat the Minotaur. Go to level 2, right? Well, now, let me ask you this. So it sounds like you'd probably want to steer people towards because there's as Craig knows, there's the RPGs that are much less crunchy and more storytelling style. Mm-hmm. And then there's the RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons, where like 4th edition is designed to be almost a miniature combat game where you're on a grid and you that you play by the full combat rules. It's like War Machine.
I'm not a fan of those.
Yeah, right. So you got different groups in that. And you got to kind of find the medium. But do you ever have people come in? So your group generally likes the lighter stuff, but I got to think once in a while you'll get a person coming in and going, hey, that Dungeons and Dragons game I hear so much about in the media, can we play that one? Do you ever get sort of like players coming, even though they don't know RPGs, and want to play a specific game because they've heard of it?
People have asked about specific games, and we try and start campaigns with it if there's a lot of requests for it. Like when the group first started out, and I wasn't actually a part of this, but I walked by the room once as a little freshman, and I saw all these kids at tables, and they actually played D&D that year. Like every group had a D&D campaign where you sat in a circle and you rolled dice and stuff. And the year I came in was the year everyone was like, we're kind of sick of that. Let's play World of Darkness.
Oh, cool.
And more of a LARPy kind of thing. I came in the year they changed. So then the year after that, we asked our faculty advisor, who usually doesn't participate. He's like, I'm going to run one of those ones where you're actually on a grid. Yeah. And so that lasted for a little bit, but nobody was a really big fan of it. And he wouldn't let us keep the dragon as a pet. And so that kind of fell apart. You know, we usually...
Whoa, you kicked the DM out because he wouldn't let you keep a dragon as a pet? Is that
No. It was complicated. Also, he got busy.
Okay. All right. I get it. So it does depend on what you get for... Because another thing that I think I've run into problems before, and I don't know if, Craig, you've seen this before, but you can get into trouble if you have a bad group dynamic. So what Craig and I,
hell yeah.
So what Craig and I have gotten to the point now where we're kind of old. So we get, and as you get older, you get more finicky about who you play with. You know, like I don't have time to play with someone I don't want to play with. So one of the things is, you try to pick a group that is going to have similar play styles, right? So like there are some people who like the really crunchy games, but there's other people that even if the game is simple, they're the rules lawyery types. Who will be like, I don't believe you, DM, when you say that, so I'm going to go look on page 58 and show you that. When
When you said that arrow missed, that's wrong, because with these three modifiers, and whatever.
Right, so like, have you, in an open group like this, where people can just sort of, I assume you guys are pretty open, and whoever wants to come in can just play.
They join, like, in the middle of campaigns.
Right, so that makes it challenging. Well, I'm going to come back to that point then. But, so how do you guys deal with the fact, I mean, you have different player dynamics, and some people want more crunch or more rules specific.
Well, that's what I was trying to get with having the different types of RPs and letting people pick, because when we were introducing them, I made people talk about, like, if you're a big role player, this group's going to be doing more role playing, or if you're kind of in for the set experience, D&D is a very cut and dried basics, elves and goblins kind of thing, and I was trying to introduce them in the way that people would be able to see which was more their play style.
Yep.
Though we've had issues with, like, kids who people don't want to play with. Which, I mean, I don't really know how to deal with that sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard. I imagine, especially in a school setting where you're sort of expected to handle everybody. That would be tough. How do you handle the situation where you've got people sort of, I guess, dropping in and I guess out, too, of campaigns?
Yeah, that's got to make just keeping the flow of the narration hard.
Yeah, we tend to do things like that don't involve the specific character, something happening to them terribly much. It's not like, oh my god, George turned into a dragon and now the plot centers around George being a dragon. It's more like, you are a group of people and you have to accomplish that. So if there's less or more people, it's like, you woke up and was like, hey, can I join your group? Sure, come on. We're doing that. And then you all do that. I mean, some people don't know when they're going to be going away or coming back. I had to miss 3 weeks of club. So I said, hey, I have to miss 3 weeks of club. And I was playing a half demon. And he's like, okay. And then I, drop kicked the wrong person and got banished to the lower dimensions of hell for 3 weeks, and I came back, and it was a character moment,
That's cool. And well, getting banished to the lower dimensions of hell for 3 weeks can be rough, but
Oh, I got my alignment changed and everything.
Oh man, I hate when that happens. That's cool. That's a good way to do it. And one of the things we've done is we have the more severe problem, which is that we can't get our people to stay together for more than one session.
Right, yeah.
Right. Never mind, after 4 or 5 sessions leaving. So
in character or out of character?
Either any way at all. Like seeing the same person more than 3 weeks in a row is epic sometimes. So what we do, and I don't know if you guys have tried this before, we do the what we call the one-off sessions. right? So it's one session. We're going to do an entire story arc in one, usually the intent is always about 2 hours, but it ends up being 4 to 6. But it's like, we're going to start at 8 and be done at 10, and we're going to play a 2-hour session. It's usually like we're done at 1 in the morning. But
and that's the problem we have because school ends at 2:20.
Right.
Nobody stops talking until 3:20, and we have to be out of the room by 4:30. You know,
so you really can't do the one session thing because you don't have a big enough window.
We have a very small window, and that's why we usually do a longer thing so that there's progression over it. But we have done one-off sessions. One time, nobody showed up. This was back when my brother was still in the club because he joined when I joined, and he just ran a one-off session, which was like no character sheets. You can be whatever you want. One guy was like a breath of wind, and another one was a shoebox. Whatever you want. And they showed up on a game show, and all kinds of crazy stuff happened. And those can be really fun. And sometimes we do like side character stuff, like not everybody's here, so it's like the day Lori went shopping, and it's like while everyone else in the group was still sleeping, Lori went over there, and then you have a little mini side quest about the main adventure, and then it comes back the next week.
Oh, that's funny.
It's not about Lori going shopping usually. There's more monsters or whatever.
The shoebox thing reminds me of when I was in high school. I don't know, Craig, were you in this one? We did an RPG. It was a Looney Tunes RPG.
I remember it, but I wasn't in it.
And so, like, the rules basically were, if it was possible in a Looney Tunes episode, you pretty much could do it. So, and the thing is, you can just reach behind your back in a cartoon and pull out a mallet or whatever you need, right? So it's pretty funny. But yeah, so that was kind of cool. What's the most bizarre or interesting, I guess, RPG rule set you've tried?
Rules? What do you mean by rules?
Well, like rule set, like which.
What games?
Yeah, what game system? Yeah.
Well, I have played mostly World of Darkness, but we did one thing of Aberrant, and that was really weird.
What's Aberrant like? I haven't played that.
It's like superheroes, I guess, but they have kind of strict rules about what your superness can be, and like one of us decided to be a librarian, and she was really dead set on actually being a librarian. She's like, sorry guys, gotta split. My shift's coming up. And we're like, okay, we'll just defeat the lizard man by ourselves, I guess. And it was interesting mechanics wise because you were like had one specific superpower. Yeah. So it wasn't like I have this much strength and also a sword. You were like, I can throw fireballs and I can change into animals. And I thought that made it a lot more like ingenuity wise because it wasn't just I'm the warrior, so I will swing my sword at it because I was the character who could transform into any animal. So I'm like, I could become a bear or I could become a boa constrictor and use myself as the handcuffs on the bad guy,
So are you too young to have yelled form of an iceberg?
No, I mean, I could be Wonder Twins.
Oh, good. See?
There you go. Well done.
I didn't have a twin, so.
Well played.
That's true. That would make it more difficult.
Full points for your dad for making sure you got the reference. All right, nice. Well, that's awesome. Well, that's really cool, Sydney. I think it's great that you're out there, obviously working extra to get to expose all these high school
poor
kids.
Underprivileged kids.
Yes, to the wonderful world of RPGs. That's great. That's really cool. So now, do you get a chance when you're not? Is school your only outlet to do RPGs, or do you actually get a chance?
Like
to play
I was saying, a lot of the kids from the club have a like group. They do a regular D&D campaign. Supposedly, they're running an Avatar: The Last Airbender campaign. That's super amazing.
Yeah,
but I mean, I haven't gotten a chance to participate in any of them because usually they meet like every Saturday, and I'm just like, I don't feel like making the commitment at this point. I'm so busy right now, and then the next week I'm so busy right now, and I never get a chance to do it.
Too busy being a big time game designer. And
homeworking.
Well, homework, that too. That stuff.
And most of the kids, a lot of them graduated now, but most of the kids in RPG Club go to this thing called Lair, which is our hometown LARPing event. Yeah. Which is once a month on a weekend, dress up, I don't know, LARP stuff. And I've always kind of wanted to go to that too, but...
Have you ever ventured forth into LARPing? You haven't tried LARPing yet?
Nope.
No?
Well, I did a really, like, soft core LARP.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
like no costumes, just talking.
Yeah.
That kind of LARP.
So really casual, really sort of like the beginner's LARP, the entry level LARPing.
Yeah, entry level
LARPing 101, right?
Now, Russ, when you were in college, did you ever were you ever part of a role playing club, or did you ever do a lot of role playing?
Did I ever experiment with LARPing?
Did you ever? Well, no. Admit it, Russ.
No, I did. Well, I was in the SCA, so I don't know if that counts.
Right? Yeah. Well, that does. Yes. I'm not talking about LARPing. I was in the SCA too. I'm talking about role playing games.
Oh, role playing So in college, I never was in an official group, but I did go to, at college they have all these little mini convention or on campus activities. So the first time I ever played an RPG in a convention style setting, which was basically walking into a room with a bunch of people you don't know. And just sitting down and role playing was actually in college because I'd never been to a convention before then. So all prior to that, I'd done a lot of D&D in high school and stuff, but I never actually just role played people I didn't know at all. And it was Paranoia, which is an old time RPG, which basically
I love Paranoia.
Paranoia is awesome. But basically, I never played Paranoia before either. But basically, the GM gives you an objective that only you know that is counter sometimes to the overall party's objective. And so the deal is you don't know who's trying to stop who. And my objective was to prevent the party from doing X. And basically I ended it, we're in this like little van driving towards the objective, and I basically ended up dropping a grenade in the middle of the van and rolling out of the driver's side door. And, got a lot of dirty looks, which was pretty cool. But that was a really fun event. And what's interesting with that kind of dynamic is when you're with people that you don't know and you probably will never know again or never see again, you definitely behave slightly differently.
I would imagine.
Than you would be with your friends who are going to remember. I mean, think about how many friends you lose over diplomacy. Imagine what you lose over like killing someone's character in an RPG, even if it's only a temporary character that's only for one day. So it's kind of a interesting experience.
Mm-hmm. In my RPG club right now, I'm doing a World of Darkness campaign. And do you know Geist? Do you know the concept of them?
Yep.
So my friend is a character, and I play her Geist. So no one else can see me or hear me. I just exist in her mind.
Yeah.
And I had to go away for 2 weeks, and I'm the smart one in the relationship, obviously. So I gave her strict instructions, not to die, not to do anything I wouldn't do, not to talk to people I wouldn't talk to. I was like, don't do this and don't do that. And then I come back and I'm like to the DM, I'm like, how's it going? And she's like, okay, good news. You're not quite dead yet. I'm like, what did she do? It's like she may have walked under a cursed ladder and put on a cursed ring and accidentally severed her soul from her body. It's like, what? I was gone for 2 weeks.
You can't let
gotta be careful.
That's right.
Especially around cursed ladders.
She was like, so they were solving a murder mystery. She's like, all the people who died walked under this ladder. I'm sure I can figure out what happened if I also walk under it. And I was like, that is not how normal people think.
Nice. Well, Sydney, thank you so much for taking time out to tell us all about your cool gaming group there at high school. That's awesome.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
No problem.
I got to eat donuts.
I know, right? Make sure you have one more before you go.
Too many donuts.
And we'll see you on the main show next week, where we're going to talk about filler games and, of course, Sales of Glory.
Sales of Glory.
Thanks for purchasing a D6G Lost Chapter. Supporting the show helps it grow.